don't worry, mate, you'll be right. You know, you're not allowed to actually talk about your feelings. And it's just ridiculous.
Good afternoon, guys. Oh, good evening. I'm not even with it. Anyway, thank you very much. This is my last one for tonight, I'm afraid. Thank you very much for all your support, guys. It's been brilliant. Number 2, not bad in the church. You know, we're getting places. Thank you very much. And if anybody wants to know about Ray, the person who was having a drug problem, we have now put him into a rehab. So thank you, guys. We really appreciate your help. Right, okay, we got Michele with us. Michele, you're all the way from New Zealand.
I am. I'm at completely the opposite end of the world to you guys.
Brilliant. It's nice to have you on. And tell us about yourself.
So I might look like a bubbly blonde chick, but I haven't always been. I was quite severely depressed. There is depression in my family. There's a lot of mental health issues here in New Zealand. And I really, I found a way out of it by really becoming who I was. And I think it's a really important message to share.
Okay. And so what actually happened then, Michele?
Nothing. Well, I say nothing traumatic, but there's plenty of traumatic things that I could tell you about myself, but they weren't actually the things that lead to the depression. The things that lead to the depression and the breakdown that I had basically was by not living who I was. So basically in the corporate world and trying to do everything the way, you know, and it's all about the money and it's not about the people, and it just stretches you further and further and further away from humanity. And it's just wrong. You know, like I heard you talking just now about the guy that you've put into the rehab. Well, that's amazing. That's what we're here for, right? To help each other, not just to make money.
May I ask, were you what you call what can I say? Were these eye flyers that, or what you thought about was, you know, living all the, living to get money and to get wealthy, but not looking after yourself?
I wouldn't say that it was always all about the money, because I've always been psychic and into soul and into looking after people. But the corporation that I worked in, like, it was certainly about numbers and bums on seats. So yeah, I was in the world where it was all about the money and wanting to care for people, but not, it was just lip service. We weren't really able to care for people. And I think that's what made me so sad and depressed, is that I wanted to care for the people, but I couldn't.
No, because the organization you work for, actually, because you actually tried to get get people on the seats and everything, and that was an high pressure job. Is that right?
Correct.
And also, was it commissioned?
No,
it wasn't commissioned. No. So, but the trouble is, though, even still, if you're doing a job like that, you know, can you imagine going to work like that and you've got to fill those seats or fill those, whatever you're doing. And the trouble is, if you don't, you know, your job could be on the line.
Exactly.
So how did that affect you then?
It made me incredibly sad, and because you don't want to think about those big feelings, then you start distracting yourself. You distract yourself with Facebook, you distract yourself with wine, you distract yourself with Netflix, you distract yourself with gossip. Like, we all have our own distraction techniques, right? But if you're distracting yourself and not addressing the true feelings, they become massive feelings until they overwhelm you and take you down to that big black hole, and that's no fun.
Yeah. Did you ever get down to that black hole?
Oh yeah. I definitely got down to the black hole.
And I always say it on our mental health. When we have our mental health on a Tuesday, we talk about mental health all evenings, all mental health. And the trouble is with that is that when you get down into that black hole, you know, there's nothing else down there. And the trouble is, we're searching for a ladder, or we're trying to climb out. And the trouble is, because all the pressures of life is on top of us. Sometimes it's so hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Have you ever found that?
Yeah, completely. And honestly, that's one of the things that honestly keeps my mental health up where it is now, is that I completely listen to what my soul and my heart wants me to do. But when you're down in that black hole, you can't hear your soul and your heart. You can't even hear your friends reaching out for you, right? Like you just hide underneath the covers.
Yeah. So when you were deep down in this black hole, how did you get out? How did you get out? Did someone kind of say, all of a sudden give you kind of like an hand, or someone shut the ladder down, or someone said, "Hey, Michelle, let's get out of this hole and you've got to do something about your life."
Yeah, no, they really didn't. And it was a very slow climb out of the hole. So I can't really remember the exact point, but I know the point that I got to where I was like, that's it. I just don't want this anymore. Like I'm not going to be on the planet. If this is how life feels, you can forget it. And I think when you get to that point, it's almost like a soul intervention, right? They're like, right. So now that you know that this life is not for you and that you're prepared to not even have the life, what are you prepared to do? Because until you've got nothing to lose, you're almost not brave enough to take a step, and to do something that you really want to do. So I took a step back towards what I wanted to do. I quit the corporate job, even though it paid a lot of money and everyone was worried about how we're going to pay the mortgage. Even my daughter was like, but how are we going to, go on holiday? And I was like, oh my God, I've raised a monster. She's not a monster. She was only little, but, in her mind, that's what it was about. And I was like, I don't care, because either it's like mummy's not alive anymore or mummy is alive. So, you won't be going on holidays if mummy's not alive anyway.
So, when was the point where you said to yourself, right, I've got to do something about my life? Because were you at a certain point in your life that you wanted to forget everybody and kind of like, you couldn't find yourself out, and you felt suicidal and you felt like ending it?
Yeah.
Did that point came to you?
Yeah, it did. And there was all sorts of physical symptoms going on as well. And I think I came to the point, really, I mean, it's hard to kind of pinpoint it, but I guess I came to an absolute crux when I found out of some of the stuff that was going on underneath in the corporation. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like this just really doesn't match my soul. And I thought, no, I just can't do it anymore. And then when I quit, then I had an even bigger depression. But I guess that depression actually helped me to get clarity. And I think depression, and when we go into what we call a hole, or even when we go into bear mode, when those terrible thoughts come up, they're coming up because they want us to release them. So we're like, oh yeah, I felt that, yeah, bye thought, and like if we let it transmute through our body instead of trying to stuff it down with Facebook and Netflix, then it allows you to stay lighter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because if we go on Netflix and we can use Netflix or we can use the computer quite a bit, but at the end of the day, we're not actually dealing with the problem. If we're sitting all day, we need to deal with the problem, inward, and with ourselves, it's like it's how you're feeling at that moment, a moment in time. I remember trying to jump off a bridge once, where I live in the UK, and I come to a certain point in my life that family, my wife, everybody around me was secondary. All I wanted to do was to get rid of, just kind of like, just to end my life. I had enough, basically had enough, and sometimes we do. But the trouble is, what you got to realize is that when thinking about it, and when the police came along and arrested me and sectioned me under the Mental Health Act, don't worry, I'm not a nutter. But they sectioned me and and said, look, what's wrong? Because I just felt suicidal. I felt low. My business collapsed and everything around me was collapsing, and even my relationship had collapsed at that particular time. But the trouble was, when I was in that psychiatric unit, acute, may I say, acute psychiatric unit, I had to sort my life out, and it was very quick, and I had to say, this is worth, this is what life is worth, kind of like living. And, I'm a Christian and I try to help people and I do a lot. But the trouble is sometimes we come to a point in our lives and saying, I've had enough.
Yeah. And see, it's the space, like when you were sectioned, you had space. You didn't have Netflix or the computer or any of those things, right? So you had to deal with your feelings, which then allowed you to climb out of that hole. I mean, obviously with their help as well, right? But it's the space. And if we create the space in our lives now, like if we meditate or talk to God every morning and every evening, you're bookending your day with space so that no matter what happens in between, you can start off amazingly and you can release all the stuff at the end of the day so that you keep yourself really light.
That's it, yeah, and that's really good. And now you are, because you've been through all that and you came to a certain point, what was it like about your family? What was it like with your partner when you were going through all this? Were they supportive?
Probably not. They didn't really, like, they wanted to be supportive. I ran away and went and stayed with my mum. Like when you're sick, you want your mummy. So I ran off as an adult and went and stayed with my mum. But they didn't really get it either. I just did lots of walking and really, spent lots of time with my horses, and nobody could really understand. And I couldn't really voice it. I couldn't really get them to understand it. And I'm not even sure that my family would understand it now, because they've never really experienced it themselves. My dad obviously understands it. His father had quite severe bipolar, and after the war, lots of mental health issues. So he kind of recognizes stuff and is able to help a little bit. But I think people help, like, come on, just shake yourself out of it. Well, that doesn't actually work. Neither does let's talk about all your feelings and dive into how bad it is. Doesn't work either, right? But giving someone a hug and saying, I see the light in you and I know that you're worthy of being on this planet. Like, seriously, that's all it takes. Like, if someone had done that for me, and that's what I do for people now, I help them to see the light in themselves, because it's in all of us, right? We're actually here for a purpose. We didn't come here just to please ourselves. We're here to help everyone else. And if one of us goes, that's one less of us to help everyone else.
And that's what you do now. That's what you do now. You're an empowerment coach. Is that right? And you kind of you help a lot of people with, about empowering them, and to kind of work out how they feel and make them strong and everything. Do you get a buzz out of that?
Oh my God. I mean, I get up at 5 a.m. every day, so freaking excited about the work that I get to do. I work mainly with women, but with some men as well, entrepreneurs that want to build their own businesses, purpose-built, purpose businesses that actually change the world. They're so afraid that they're not worthy. So that's what I do. I make them feel worthy, and then I give them the tools to grow the business. And then they go out there and they spread their light all over everyone else as well. So I honestly feel like I'm getting to save the world. It's amazing.
Good. What's it like to kind of see people kind of actually changing their lives? Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, it brings me to tears some days. I got a message about 5 days ago from a beautiful young lady, and she's like, thank you so much for helping my mum to see that she's amazing. Me and my dad have known it all along, but we could never make her understand it, and now she feels amazing and everything's changing in her life. And just I just wanted to thank you so much for showing my mum how amazing she is. I mean, how amazing is that I get to do that?
And also, you're amazing yourself. How about that?
Yeah.
Michele, I've got some questions here for you, because this is what we do. We get a lot of questions from our radio and our podcast. So we got quite a few coming in. Hang on for a second. Let's see what the other comments are. Hang on for a second. Hi guys, Elizabeth Davidson. Okay, we got hi Michele. It's lovely to see you on Steve's show. It's brilliant. You should come back regularly. He does a really good show. Can you tell me, how long have you been a empowerment coach? Because I'd love to do that.
For 10 years, I've been empowering women through coaching now. So I started out with an MBA, so a Master's in Business Administration, and then a coaching qualification, and then just building my tribe up slowly. So, I mean, if you feel like you have something to say in the world, and we all do, then just start doing that. Start yourself some social media and start saying what's in your heart, and then go and get your coaching qualification and start. I strongly encourage you to do that.
Good. good. Thank you. I Michelle. When you said that you was in a black hole, how did you manage to get out of it?
Yeah, and that's the difficult thing to explain, but it started with space. I really had to have the space, and then I had to be willing. The second step was to be willing to feel the big feelings. And three, acknowledge my part in it, because we always
Yeah.
have a part in it. And then the fourth thing was deciding what was the learning in it, because I feel like if you don't actually get the learning or the lesson, then you're doomed to kind of repeat it. So I discovered what the learning was, and then once I'd done that, I kind of feel like that's the clearing chunk, those 4 steps. And then the next step forward is figuring out what lights you on fire. Like if you just always follow the joy, you have an amazing, successful business, you'll have a happy life, you'll be healing other people. Honestly, just follow the joy. What lights you up, right? Like maybe what lights you up is gardening. So maybe your path in life is to make beautiful flowers that make other people feel happy.
Mm. Well done, Michelle. Michelle, do you have any faith? Because you talk about the light a lot.
Yeah, I do. That's a weird one. I believe in God, but I have some strange beliefs. I believe that there is one God. I believe that everyone's God is the same God. And I don't know why I believe that. I just know it to be true in my heart. So there is definitely something out there looking over all of us. I don't know what it is. There is definitely a God. I definitely pray to God, but I also believe in higher beings and my own higher self and angels. And I believe in all sorts of things. So I know that we're not alone on this planet. I know.
Well, you're one of the angels. Don't forget that, won't you? We got a message here. I'm Michelle. What is the strapping behind you?
That's my yoga swing. That's for aerial yoga. Fun, right? I was doing that this morning before I jumped onto the podcast in my office.
There you go. That's what it is. So, yes, Elizabeth, behave yourself. Don't worry about Elizabeth. She's one of my Sometimes she comes on to one of my shows on a Thursday. She's always nosy. I'm only joking.
That's all right. I'm perfectly open. Ask what you like.
I'm Michelle. Love to see you on Steve's show. Great to see you. Can you tell me if I want to get into empowerment coaching, what can I do about it?
So first of all, figure out who you're here to serve. So like who are the people that you're here to empower? For me, it's women, because growing up in New Zealand, we were taught, and a little bit the same in England, right? I married an English man, so I'm very familiar with English culture. Women are taught to be a bit quiet, like don't really say what you think. And I think that's dangerous for our souls. I think it's dangerous for our mental health. When we keep everything inside, it kind of weighs us down. I think we should always...
Sorry, excuse me, but why should a woman be quiet? At the end of the day, we're all equal, aren't we?
They definitely shouldn't, but kind of the subtle ways that we're brought up, and even boys when they're little, like you remember going out with your mum and you're like, mum, and they're like, no, I'm talking, like what you have to say is not important. So I think we're taught to be quiet and let other people speak, especially here in New Zealand. Like it's a pretty common thing. Most of the women that I coach are very afraid, even though they don't look it on the surface, deep down they're quite afraid to be visible. And it's very hard to grow a business if you're afraid of being visible. So that's why it's important.
There you go. Roger says, hi, Steve. Yet again, you've got another guest on, which is brilliant. We'd love to see her back again, any chance. We will ask Michelle, and probably we'll see what she says, but I'll try.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
Hi, Steve. Can you ask Michelle, what's it like in New Zealand?
It's beautiful. You would absolutely love it. Like think about going to Wales, kind of like that. It's absolutely stunning. Like when I look out my window, I'm looking at it literally acres and acres and acres of farm, and then the harbour in the background. When my husband first moved here, it must have been a long time ago now, because we've been married for 20 years. He must have moved here like 25 or 27 years ago. He expected there to be sheep on the runway. Must be like doctors or something. It's not like that at all. We have massive big cities, of course, nothing like London, but there's a lot of space, so we have a big personal space kind of boundary, because we're not used to touching up against each other. We're very friendly, like we talk to each other, we touch each other all the time, like we're quite a touchy-feely sort of people.
Right, okay. So if you want to be touchy-feely, go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Um, I, Steve, I love this. Can you tell me about why is Michelle only treating women? It's a shame, really, because at the end of the day, she should be equal and treat men too.
I
Well,
do. I
see,
do.
and this is the problem. I'll tell you what, this is the problem. I got around about 4 empowerment coaches on my team, and I'm telling you, by the way, we're looking for another one. But and you know what? They always say this. They say, "No, we're not men. We're for women," and I
Oh
think it's
no.
totally wrong.
Yeah, I
Totally
think it's
wrong.
really wrong as well. No, I definitely absolutely help men. My criteria, so like my client avatar, if you like, is they have to be willing to go into their soul and grow and be here to serve the world. So I don't care whether
Yeah,
it's
I know. I know.
a woman or a transvestite. I don't care. I will empower anybody.
I'm only joking. I'm only joking with you. Um. Also, what's it? Can you tell me what's your most embarrassing moment? And that is from Ray.
My most embarrassing moment. Oh my goodness, I don't know. There's so many. Um, Trying to be smart on my horse at a horse trek, riding my horse backwards and fell off in front of a lot of people. That was pretty embarrassing.
Um. What's the Okay, don't start with. What's the biggest achievement you in your life that you are proud of?
Do you know what? I would honestly have to say, and it's nothing to do with business and not like having a child, like, none of that. I would honestly say it was climbing the Himalayas up to base camp when I must have been 21 years old, and I was incredibly unfit. I didn't think I could do it. My boyfriend, who's now my husband, like decided that's what we were doing and that we would carry our own bags. Like, why? So I made him carry both our bags, one on the front, one on the back. But I got myself up there. Like, I didn't want to do it. I moaned about it, but I really made myself do it. And it was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life because there was space. Every single step I had space to think. I think it changed my life. So that's probably my best achievement.
Brilliant, thank you. Um, Hi, Steve. Can you ask Michelle um, what does she think of what's happening? Sorry, say that again. Hi, Steve. Can you ask Michelle what she thinks what's happening in the world at the moment with the coronavirus?
Do you know, honestly, what I think is happening? I think the world is giving us space. We're all locked up at home. Well, some of us are. You guys are allowed out now. But
Yes, we are. Yeah.
I think it provided space for people to really think. Like, so many people and here in New Zealand, they've shifted out to the country. They've quit their job and started a business that's changing the world. Like, it's given us space to really think about what's deeply going on. We're like, this isn't going to be the last type of infection we have. We've had infections all through all through the ages. It's not going to stop. I think it's to give us space. And I think Mother Earth is crying. Like, we treat her terribly. Even here in New Zealand, when we're in lockdown and all of the cars went away, the oceans got clearer. The sky got clearer. Like, what is that telling us? It's telling us
Yeah.
that what we're doing is hurting her. Like, stop. Work from home. Why are we all driving out to these stupid jobs anyway?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I totally agree. We all should, and also we should all move to New Zealand. So,
Okay, come on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you got a shed? That's all what we want. It's just a shed. That's all. Um, where we going? Oh God, no, no, no. Oh, hi, Michelle. Can you tell me what does your husband do? Is he a paramount coach too?
No, he's not. He's actually a prison officer.
Right.
So I guess he is empowering people in there. The prisons in New Zealand are very different to what they're like in the rest of the world. He's a PTI in the prisons over here in New Zealand. And so he really talks to the prisoners about what's going on inside them, what's in their head, what's waiting for them on the outside, how are they going to do things differently. So yeah, he loves what he does. I couldn't do it. Like, it wouldn't be my vibe at all, but he's really good at it.
Gosh. Mark, if you escape from New Zealand, you better get back quick. Her husband's a Yeah. No, I'm only joking. Hi, Michelle. Can you tell me what do you do in your spare time? And is your business been affected by the coronavirus?
No, well, I have multiple businesses. I'm a serial business owner. I bought my first at 18. So yes, a couple of my businesses are physical businesses, so they've been completely shut down, losing money left, right, and centre. I have a number of rental properties as well. Tenants not paying rent. So I mean, like it's pretty dire, but nothing really gets me down. I know it always balances out, so I just actually never worry about anything. But my empowerment coaching business, no, it hasn't affected that at all. It's all online, and in fact, people need me more now than ever. So no, it hasn't really affected me.
Was I reading right? Oh, I probably got a number, Michelle. But don't you do you deal with like mediumship? Am I
I've been psychic right from birth. I don't offer that service to anyone else. I do teach people how to tap into their own messages when I coach them.
right? Okay. I'm just kind of like I was kind of like reading something about you, so I do my own work. I try to anyway. Um, okay, couple more questions, guys. Hi, Michelle. It's been lovely to know you. Well, watch you anyway. Could you tell me, with your children, what do they think about you kind of like actually being a empowerment coach and helping other people?
Yeah, she loves it. My daughter is 18 and started her first business when she was 9. I think she's just kind of grown up around it, and now she like does all the stuff and stuff just pops out of her mouth. I'm like, you're really good at that. She's like, well, yeah, you kind of rammed it down my throat for like 18 years. So yeah, she loves that I empower people. She doesn't get embarrassed by me being loud and out there. Like you can normally find me running around in a tutu somewhere or doing archery on my horse or doing something stupid. She's just not embarrassed anymore.
Are you embarrassing?
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely. I mean, if you're not embarrassing, you're not really having fun, are you?
No, that's it. Well done. That's it. And the last one is that, hi, Michelle, what would you do with £1.5 million if you won it on the lottery?
Oh, there are some massive big charities that I would love to support. There's some great things happening here in New Zealand around mental health. Pretty soon I'm doing a tutu fundraiser where we're going to walk down the street carrying signs, and every time someone toots, we get a donation. And we're putting that towards coaching young women here in New Zealand. So for Kiwis, like the OE is a big thing, you know, right? Like we flood your country and come and drink massive amounts of food and take up your jobs, right? um, but that traveling opens our eyes because we live in such a small country. That traveling opens our eyes and opens our souls, but Kiwis can't do that now. And so we have all these young women who are wanting to grow that can't grow, and they're diving down into mental health, like they're getting really depressed. So we're going to coach them with a nurse. We're going to coach their mental health, and then we're going to chuck them into a business incubator where we help them to grow their own businesses. So I'd probably chuck some money towards that, but there's so many good charities to give to, honestly.
Ah, brilliant. Well done. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. That was Michele Clark, and I'll tell you what, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I've only, it's been really a pleasure talking to you, by the way.
Thank you so much for having me.
Brilliant. Lovely to meet you. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for all the questions. Sorry we can't go through them all, but there's one question here. No, there's one question I need to tell you, and it's this. Hi, Michelle. Thank you very much for coming on to the show. It's lovely to see you. I loved your chat about mental health and where you've been. I've just come off. I've just come out of a psychiatric unit after losing my children, 2 children in a car crash. I am now recovering, and hopefully I'll be back on my feet very soon. Please pray for me. Yeah, we will do. Thank you so much.
I absolutely will, Helen. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Michelle, and I'll be in touch very soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.